All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we could take advantage of in the Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's participate and engage. If everybody can hear me loud and clear, do me a huge favor, drop me a one in the chat. Let me know that you're all ready to go for this morning. We can get this session started. All right. So let me see. All right, I see the ones coming in. I appreciate that. I always appreciate the early participation. Let's make sure that we start this morning with taking massive, massive action, right? Strong foundation. Let's make sure that we're accepting all possible losses for entering your trade, preparing you for any outcome. Let's make sure that we center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading. Let's make sure that we trust in our education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. And let's make sure that we imagine our trade successfully materializing and that we are obeying our trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed and fear, and let's never look back or stop once our trade has commenced. All right. So each and every morning, right, let's make sure that we have the proper mindset as we approach these markets. All right. So make sure everybody has control over their microphones. And let's go over to trading economics. So right out of the gate, right? Eurozone, we've got a lot of PMI data coming out today. So we see a lot of red folders when we see that these numbers are coming in below 50%, right? So for example, we'll look at the French flash PMI and we can see private sector business activity right here. The article falls at a slightly faster pace. And so what is it, right? PMI is the leading indicator of economic health. Businesses react quickly to market conditions, and their purchasing managers hold perhaps the most current and relevant insight into the company's view of the economy, right? And so you can see that actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. It indicates 50 above 50 indicates industry expansion, below indicates contraction. So we can see here clearly this morning with a lot of the PMI data coming out of the Eurozone, right, where we are below 50, right? So we see in Germany, largest player in the Eurozone, we've got the German flash PMI, manufacturing PMI coming in at 41.6. The services came in at 49.8, if it's suspected, 48.8, still below that 50 mark. And we can see how these numbers, right, impact the price action. Now, the biggest news of this early morning is that the Swiss National Bank cut rates, right? Cut interest rates by 25 basis points. And you saw the market react early this morning, right? So we'll take a look at that. But before we continue, let me say we probably won't be on for the full hour this morning. I have a very, very important meeting that I am preparing for the early part of this morning. So we probably won't spend the whole hour on, but just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that. So going over to our community, right? We posted in the community some quick notes. We can see here that for the Swiss National Bank, leads with unexpected rate cut, interest rate slash. The Swiss National Bank reduced its main interest rate by 25 basis points to 1.5, surprising markets as the first major central bank to ease monetary policy. Right? So we've been following these central banks closely, and what we keep saying is who's going to be the first to cut? Well, we have our answer, right? Following the announcement, the Swiss franc fell sharply against the dollar and hit an 8-month low against the euro. Swiss inflation dropped to 1.2% in February, staying within the SMB's target range of 0 to 2% for the ninth consecutive month. Okay, the reason for the cut, citing effective control of inflation. In the past 2.5 years, the SMB aimed to support economic activity with the rate cut. The move set the stage for a day filled of central bank announcements in Europe, including the Bank of England and the Norwegian Central Bank. From a global context, while the European Central Bank, ECB, and the U.S. Federal Reserve hold their rates, expectations grow for future cuts. Okay. And then just moving from yesterday, right? We know that just backing it up a little bit, we know that we had the FOMC projections. The Fed, right, came out a little bit dovish in regards to holding the expectations for at least three rate cuts. So they held the federal funds rate, but the economic projections are still looking at three rate cuts. Okay, so they haven't changed their stance. We know coming into the year, a lot of investors were thinking six rate cuts. The Fed, though, has always been pretty steadfast in three rate cuts. As of late, though, some people were wondering, you know, would it be two rate cuts, right? So if you're wondering why, well, if you're saying you're thinking, well, they haven't changed their stance, why did the market react, right? So we saw, the stock market and things like that. We saw some positive rallies, right? In some of the commodity currencies. Is because there had been some speculation, right? Because of some of the data that was coming out that man, we might not even get three rate cuts from the Fed. It might only be two. And then you had some people, even thinking maybe they won't even cut at all, But so the meeting yesterday and looking at the economic projections, Fed said they're still on target for three rate cuts this year, right? So we got a reaction out of the market. So that's what happened yesterday with the FOMC. And then today, right, on the heels of that surprise cut by the S&B, we still have the monetary policy statement, a rate decision coming out for the pound. And then we've got U.S. unemployment numbers. And then we also have PMI data expected to come out for the United States. You can see the forecast is for it to remain above 50, right? 51.8, 52 respectively. But we will see. And then later on, right, we've got FOMC members speaking. Okay, that always has the potential to cause some volatility. So we shall see. Going over to trading economics, we can see here, right, front page Fed keeps outlook for three rate cuts. We just spoke about that. Gold scales record levels on dovish Fed, right? So coming into the year, we said, hey, we're gonna look for gold to get bullish. Okay. Why? Because we're in a rate cutting environment. Gold typically does. And so that 4 hour play that we had on gold hit the extension. Take a quick look at that. All right. Ryan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, bro. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Super busy morning ahead,
Yeah,
but
man. Be
it'll
on the
be over
go.
soon enough. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, anything on the fundamental front?
Um, Nothing to add to what you talked about. I'm working on a few things regarding the dollar, the yen, and I'm gonna work on some things on the Swiss franc as well. Just kind of some comprehensive breakdowns on where they are, what's happening, and what to look for. So, throughout the rest of this week and in the next week, I look to have those updated on the blog for the team to check out.
All right. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's gonna help because it's been a lot of back and forth, right? So a ton of back and
Ton.
Yeah, yeah, with the price action and everything, but it's all good, right? We said this year is going to be a volatile year because there's so much going on globally, because of the interest rate environment that we're in, and and like I said before, we were going back and forth on who's going to cut those rates first versus who's going to hold rates for longer. And like we said, we got some insight on that today, right? With the S&B. So appreciate you, man.
No doubt. Appreciate you.
All right, all right. Any questions regarding the fundamentals before we jump on the charts? Yeah. All righty then. Well, let's take a look at the DXY, right? Kind of bouncing back and forth, right? So, that I had identified the crown and we got that support, right? And now today right? We've got the dollar moving down, right? Uh, Here recently. So we can see if we come down to the one, uh, we can see where we've got a huge move, and now we've got this correction um occurring. So we'll see if that level holds, right? So it's a nice bullish candle on the one. See if it finds some support eventually, and then continues to see if it continues to move higher, right? Kind of hard to tell right now. But here, right, in the near term, right, we've got a correction back to the downside. So we'll see what happens with the US dollar holding right now at 103.11. Any questions on the DXY?
No, sir.
All right. So let's take a look at what's going on, right? Clicking in on this Aussie yen, okay, right, moved, right? We've been bullish on it for the most part, right? There was a lot of back and forth in regards to what type of correction we could see as a result of the Bank of Japan moving rates out of negative territory. Um, but you can see it, prices kept moving against the yen. Now, Ryan, there's some chatter coming out of the Bank of Japan, right, in regards to watching the currency levels, right? I think I saw something on that yesterday.
Um, yes, they are watching. Watching the volatile movements as price continues to push higher.
Mhm.
Um, but they are yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah. They are
Yeah,
watching those levels, especially with the volatile movements in the currency
yeah,
market.
yeah, yeah. So it'll be interesting because the prices are definitely accelerating against it, right? So that pushed our ABCD wave, right? So overall, okay, right, we moved, right? You see your A, your B, your C, and then to your D extension, right? So you can see that this fib is no longer highlighted. So off of that low on this 4 hour off that 61.8, you can see where price carried, 355 pips to that D extension. Okay. So that move now is over. If we come down to the one, okay, and we just let this sit here, right, for the last forever. But you can see where this move, right, on the 1 hour, okay, you guys remember that? That pull back, see that weekly level at 95.48. This is the 1 hour chart. Well, we hit the D extension. See, we came through, we hit the D extension, and now we have a new fib sequence setting up. Right? It's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game. So now we look for correction. So we're either you can see here how we've got this slight move down, right? We've got that B boundary broken. So do we correct? Okay, right? Because we're looking for that low price, back up, or do we have an 80-20 type of scenario where price then makes this move back down, okay, to the low price? That's it, right? And so if we move to that 80-20 zone, right, we make the decision. Do we want to trade that? We know that this is an effective zone to trade. Back to that 382. Do we look to trade that counter trend, looking for that correction and for price to move, right, to a better discount for us to buy if we're looking to continue with the trend, right? Once we get to these levels, right, 61.8, 786, we can look to buy it, right? Do you have to trade both setups? No. It's our job to let you know where the zones are that we like to trade. Okay. If you're trading with the trend, continuing long, then you wait for your low price. You move on, you take a look at other currency pairs until your low price is established, and then you look to buy. Okay. Any questions on the Aussie yen? No? All right. So we're swing trading. These are big moves, right? They don't happen overnight, right? Unless you get something, to happen with the fundamentals. Crazy move like you saw with the Swiss, right? But other than that, right, these moves take a while, right? So we believe oftentimes that less is more. Okay. So we're patiently waiting on our setups. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to make sure everybody was up for school. So, um, that's the Aussie yen. All right, so moving on. Let's take a look at checking on this Aussie dollar as this Aussie price action continues to intrigue me. So, Ryan, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it this morning, but what do you think about this scenario now? Because it's holding at that 66.23 level again. We got another reaction.
It is. Excuse me. I think we might push a little bit higher.
Okay.
Um, um, so I got back and forth views because we got that on the 4 hour. If you zoom out a little bit, there's potential for a inverted king's crown pattern, right? Um, Using that fib there, that
Yeah.
B is
Yeah.
the left tip.
Hmm.
Um, but then we got the larger move on the daily. Um, so I am conflicted here, but I think we might push a little bit higher um, to get to that larger fib 618 level or a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's my thought right now.
Yeah. I know it's a lot about it's bouncing back and forth, right? Clearly ranging. So hey, when in doubt, stay out, right?
Hmm.
If you're not involved with it. So yeah, it's a tricky one. It's always when it keeps going back and testing those levels, right? Right in this range, right? That 66.23 is like, will it close above it or not? It keeps reacting to the downside. So that's a weird one. That's why I wanted to check in and kind of get your thoughts on it
Yeah,
bouncing
I'm
back and
just
forth.
watching it right now, man. I'm just
Yep.
watching it.
Yep. All right. Yeah, because it's just a lot of data. Like the way the market reacted, and they report like a dovish Fed, and I'm just like, well, they haven't really to me they really haven't changed their stance at all.
So they were
Right?
looking at it was weird the reaction because no, they didn't change their stance. Um, but you had some people thinking that they would decrease the number of rate cuts, like you said earlier. And soon as they didn't do that, um, I think that's what they're running with is three rate cuts. They still held it there. Yeah, so it was definitely an interesting reaction.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it's silly. Like I'm like, but but I guess they have people have their experts and their data, but I'm just like, man, like, I heard, years ago, and we say it all the time. You hear that saying, like, I didn't really know the meaning of it then when they said, don't bet against the Fed, but like, man, don't bet against the Fed.
Yeah,
You know? So, interesting reaction, but that's where we are. That one caught my eye today off this pullback off the four, because I've been watching this main capital Fed, right? And then when I ran the selfies, I'm like, man, I gave a decent pullback, but it's right back to that same level. 4 hours stochastic is in the sell zone. You know, what does that mean at this point? Is it time for it to make another drive down? But still had to pull the fundamentals together on that one to make it make sense. So we shall see. But you can see right in this area, right, overall, right where we seem to be, you know, kind of stuck. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that one. Um, Bitcoin, right? So the price action, understanding that the market moves in waves continues to fascinate me every time I see it. You can see here where we've made this swing in the zone, right? So maybe this is one of those situations where we get that drive up, right? That push up, right? Uh, Followed by that pullback, right? Because I'm definitely bullish on it. Okay. And so then we have that crown scenario there, right? If we get this high taken out, like so, then maybe we pull back and form that right tip and continue long. Right? So like so, okay, on Bitcoin. So definitely bullish. We've gotten a nice uh correction. Look at that. Just some corrective price action going on. Okay. So I want to see if it'll correct a little bit more. It may not. Uh and to see if we can get a continuation. But that made a decent swing within our AB boundary. Okay. Any questions on Bitcoin?
no
No.
sir.
All righty. So the forever trade since January, right? On the CAD Swiss. Okay. And like we always say, right? Patience pays. Like what does it hurt, right? If you're not over leveraged and you have a trade idea, right? What does it hurt to stay in that trade and be patient and let it work out? Right? So we finally hit, okay, the 339 pip target. Okay. And so we know, right, it's psychologically it could be tough when if you're trading with a small account, and I'm only trading at one micro, so I just made 33 bucks, right? But if you're trading with a small account to the point where you have to trade with a micro, and you look at that in as it relates to percentage gained, right? $33.90 earned, you know, on $100 account or $200 account, right? If you do the math on that and the percentage gain, That's huge. Everybody follow me on that? Drop me a one in the chat. Right? So the key is to form the habit, right? Because one day, right, either with your own capital or if you're trading prop, you know, or you have your own fund and say you have $100,000 account. Well, it seems really small now with one micro, but just think about it. If I have $100,000 account and I risk a 1/4%, right? Think about that. So take 100,000, right? And we take a 1/4% of that. Right? Somebody tell me what that is, right? If I'm risking a 1/4%, what is that? How much money
250.
is that?
250.
250, right? So that 250 right now, just at a 1/4%, so I can trade what, $1.30, right, on this play, and that's just one play that you have running, right? So now you've made over 400 bucks on that move. That's at a 1/4%, right? At a 1/4%, not 1%, not a 0.5%, just at a 1/4%. So was that like 400, $1.30? Was it 339? So like 430, 440 bucks or something like that, just by letting the trade run. And that's at a 1/4%, right? So you want to develop the habits now while you're trading small, if you are. Some people may not. They already have a large account. But while you're trading small and to build those habits, build those sound principles, right? That strong foundation. So when you get to that level, you're not making drastic mistakes. Your emotions are under control, right? And it's just another day at the office, right? So now I'm trading at, you know, I'm risking at $250 as if I was risking 20, $30 back when my account was a lot smaller, right? And I hope that makes sense to people. Right? So you want to build those championship habits now, right? Knowing and believing in yourself that in the future, the accounts that I trade will be a lot larger. Right? And believe me, there are opportunities out there, right, to trade that type of capital, way more than that. Okay. But you have to focus on getting better day by day, right? And building a track record, right? To make your way to that type of capital, you have to work on building a track record, right? So that's the cash Swiss. Congratulations, right, to those who held it. Anybody still in it? Who anybody uh
I'm still in it because I played it by pullbacks, so I didn't hold every position.
got it. Got it. Good. Good. So and the most important thing here, right, is what? We got the direction right. Okay. We got the direction right. So that's that on the CAD Swiss. Moving on, taking a look at the CAD yen. Okay. We're gonna get that target, everybody. Yeah. We're gonna get that target. Okay. 932 pips. It's actually more than that to the D extension. I've got it just a bit short because I know on that daily you can get a nasty reaction as it approaches a higher time frame D extension. But 932 pip target. Okay. We are slowly but surely working our way there. right? So whether you're trading smaller ABCDs or whether you're holding that position, right? Or some of you may not be trading it at all. That's okay, right? That's okay. You may be in your demo. That's okay, right? Because as long as you've got your eyes on the charts and you're learning how this thing works, you're making progress, right? Ryan always talks about it's your journey, right? It's not anybody else's. It's your journey. You know, you may be coming out of the phase or still in the phase where you're blowing accounts because you don't have your risk management down. That's all right. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it. You may be jumping out of trades, right? A little bit too early. That's okay. We're gonna fix it. Right? The only way you lose is if you quit. Okay. So here we are. Okay. On the 1 hour, market's still moving long. Right? So here's a 1 hour play, right? Almost to the 61.8, not quite. Okay. But you can see how we've got a low, we've got a higher low, and this may be putting in another higher low to get going. So still bullish, right? There's that 114 level. So we still have a way. So there's still opportunity to make some plays on this CAD yen, right? But overall, we've got the direction right. Okay. So hang in there, everybody. Right? It's not a right now thing, right? We've had several people come and go in this group, but the ABCD waves just keep coming. Right? Keeps coming. All right. So that's the CAD yen. Swiss yen. Right? We were looking at this yesterday. Nasty reaction off of that news from the SMB, right? So that played right into that zone. We were going back and forth on exactly how to play this yesterday, right? So playing the wide stop on this one worked out. Okay. Now you can see where we're getting the reaction, right? So pay attention to this, right? Because often a lot of times Price will take back a lot, of what it lost on that move to the downside. Okay. So this was the move, right? I'm out of this now, but this was the move that we were talking about yesterday. Wanted to play that 80-20, and we actually came through two take profit levels. Right. So that correction play is over. Um, I'm not sitting in a long on this right now. It's just kind of sitting on the sidelines. Is it in the buy zone? Yes. But I'm always hesitant when you get major news like that. All right. So that's where we are. Any questions on the Swiss yen? That's a quick 174 pips.
No questions on this one. I'm looking for a pullback and a continuation. This could be the beginning of this one to start to move to the downside. So I'm waiting for a pullback around 175.19.
Okay.
Um, and then if I see price stall there and in the sweet spot on lower time frame, I'm looking at more short opportunities there.
Okay. Yeah, when they thanks Donette. I saw that in the chat. Um yeah, when you have a central bank decision like that, it's hard to for me to buy into Swiss strength over the long term.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
this is hard because this was the overall move in the correction. But I don't now it's against the yen. It's against the yen, but this one I'm kind of waiting and seeing now. It made a good swing out of the zone. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. At least one more drive down. And then
Yeah, a
we'll see.
couple things on the yen that are going to be in this report, man. Um, one thing is Governor Ueda talked about the move now being smaller,
Hmm.
and the timing of the move now. The goal was to avoid uh, massive volatility later. So they,
Got
just
it.
like on the upside, they're watching those volatile moves. They're also trying to manage the volatile moves on the move to the downside as well.
Okay.
Um, so that's one of the things that he talked about. And another thing is some reporters are saying that the Bank of Japan is going to use the ECB and the ECB's kind of thought process and path, kind of,
Hmm.
um, as information, a part of the guide on how they move out of this negative space. As the ECB did that, was it last year before last?
Hmm.
Um, so they're looking at their path, and using that information, as they put together their guide on how they move out of this space.
Got it. Got it. Totally understand. Yeah, because they have an example, right?
Yeah.
So because and that's why I think that the when it comes to like the ECB in the US, uh, I think the ECB may hold longer because they were the last to start hiking, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's one of the things that I'm watching closely. But this,
So
mhm.
I was gonna say, do you think they'll hold longer, or because they have been traditionally, more dovish, could that cause them to move sooner?
uh, I don't. That's a good question. I don't know. They're gonna tell you they're gonna be data dependent, right?
Right, right,
So,
right,
so,
right.
but I'll, but I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know, man. I don't
This was
have an answer
a
for
thought that I had because I was thinking the same thing: is how long will they hold? Um, and that's the thought that came to my mind is because they're traditionally more dovish, will they move sooner to kind of maintain that more of a dovish stance, even though, they were the last to make that decision.
you. Yeah, yeah. That's a good thought. I don't know. We're gonna see. We'll continue to do the research. Great, great discussion. Great discussion. We'll see. Um, this one's gonna be. I want to see how this one plays out. See if it holds in that zone, or if it takes this A out on the sub pit. I don't know. Little weird with the yen right now. So we shall see. Any questions on that switch yen, everybody? So good correction play. Let's see if it continues to move down or if it holds within that AB boundary. All right. So that's that. Looking at what's this Euro NZD. Looking in at this one on the one. So we've gotten it to stall right in this zone. Okay. The question is, right? Do we hold, right? Do we hold in that 80-20 zone and continue to move down, right? To that 382, right? Which is 155 pips away still. So right, it's already made. That's a decent move to the downside already. 60 pips has since pulled back. It's retested at 179.38 level. Do we stay below that, right? Or does this price continue to accelerate? But decent move so far out of the zone. We'll continue to keep an eye on this Euro NZD, right? If we're still, staying bullish, right, the Euro, because we are in an up retracement zone, then we need that discounted price to continue long. on that Euro NZD. So you hope it does, right? I hope it correct. I hope it corrects too, right? I hope it corrects too. Um, to the downside, the last fit played out beautifully on the way down and the way up, and so we're looking to see if we can get that similar price action on that. Any questions on the Euro NZD?
No, sir.
All right. So one of the big reasons why we do this, right, during the week in these sessions, right, is so you can constantly get the repetition, the visual repetition, right, to so you can start to build confidence in the price action, right, and the way it moves. That's very, 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 very okay. That you do that. Okay, so whether you're here live or you're watching the replays, right? We want to make sure that we're getting that visual repetition so that we can find confidence, right? To take these, not only take the trades, but stay in it. Okay. Here's a pound yen on the one, right? This has double topped and this is trying to move down. Okay. Okay. So we double topped in the zone. And so we want to see if we can get this to move down to that 382 target or deeper. Okay. Overall, right? Bullish. But we at some point, right, we have to correct. We still got 88 pips to go there. Okay. At some point, price likes to correct. Okay? And we're seeing that now. Okay. So this is your pound yen, right? Have that one on your radar as we have double topped in this zone. Okay. And we are moving down, right? The early part of this morning. So it's just the same game over and over and over again. Will you always get the corrections? No, we didn't get it yet. Right? But when your risk management is good and you're putting yourself in the proper risk to reward ratio, you don't have to win every trade. Don't have to. Right? But you do have to be a good manager of money. All right. So any questions on that pound yen? No, we can see overall, right, that we have been bullish and we are approaching that major high. The market has a memory. Look at it going back to retest that level. All right, let's take a look at this pound Swissy since we got the news this morning. Come in, we take a look at the 4. Okay. Last move played out beautifully. 262 pips on this one. We only got to pull back to a 382. Right? Fundamentals took us to the D extension. And so even off that 382, that's a monster. 374 pips to the D extension. 297, almost 300 pips. Okay. But it didn't get to my target there, right? Took off. But you can just see how fundamentals drive the market. Fundamentals drive the price action, right? So, you don't have to know everything, but you got to know something, right? In regards to those fundamentals, right? So next stop, right? We're going to run into that 115.03 on that pound Swiss. Let's go down and take a look at the 1. Okay. Here was the 1 hour play that we were looking at from before. And we had the different scenarios drawn up off the 358, off the 61.8, didn't get it, took off. Now we've got a new AB boundary. See how it just resets itself. Okay. The market just resets itself. So we know, right now we got the Bank of England decision coming, right? They're expected to hold rates. We'll see what the forward guidance is, what the rhetoric is coming out of the Bank of England. But we know we've been bullish, right, on the pound. So we've got cuts that came out of the SMB, All right. Now they're expected to hold rates, the Bank of England. So the case, right, for staying long is there. We just want it at a discount. That's it. Right. So our overall bias hasn't changed. It's just what phase of the Fibonacci sequence are we in? What are we in? And that's it. That's how we do it. That's how we put these trade ideas together. It's no secret to what we do. So we've got some weekly levels at 112, another one at 111, right? I could take these boxes out now that trade is done for the most part. Okay. Take these out, give us some clarity. So can we get price to move into our buy zone? Okay. That's it. Previous move is over. Now we wait. Questions on the pound Swiss? No. All righty. Let's take a look at peeking at this pound dollar. All right, see what it's doing. Okay, so overall, okay, just ahead of the data, this is what we've been looking at. This swing off the 4. Okay, we're still holding above trend line. All right, and here's the 1 hour. Okay. Here's the 1 hour move now. Right, this move has been a little bit crazy, right? The lower you go on the time frames, right? But here's our latest fib. So let's see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens with the data. But ideally, right, if this stays long, we just want to see it push a little bit lower, right, to our zone. We don't know what's going to happen with the news coming out, but that's that. Any questions on the pound dollar? Be
No, sir.
patient. Appreciate it. Be patient. Let the news occur, right? Because we don't, you never know. They may hold rates and then you get some dovish rhetoric and the pound just falls through the floor, right? It happens. It happens. So that's why we don't trade the news right at that moment. Okay. So that's that on the pound dollar. Now let's move in, take a look at the uh the dollar Swiss. And just continuing to right move long. Right? Continuing to move long. Here's our swing. Ever since we've broken that trend line, right? Look at the move up. Okay. We've been on it. We've gotten the direction right on that. Now, here we are on the 1. Look at that, everybody. So if you've been long dollar Swiss, great work. Great work. Okay. That's the dollar Swissy. Any questions?
Man, that's been a good one.
Oh yeah.
That's been a really good one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see, right? You don't have to win them all, right? When you're taking the time and you're being patient and you're trading with the right risk to reward ratios, right? The trades that do go in your favor and hit target, the key is letting them hit target. Because if you do, those trades are going to compensate for the trades that lose, right? Because you're set up, right? In your 2 to 1s, your 3 to 1s. But if you're if you're willing to let the trades go and hit the stop, you have to be willing to let them go and hit the take profit. That's the only way this works, right? It's the only way this works. Only way your edge is going to play out, right? So we it's crazy how we think psychologically like that trade is going the wrong direction. It's in the red, but we hold it because we hope for the turnaround, right? We hope for that price to turn around, like, oh, I'm gonna let it turn around. Then it hits the stop. But then as soon as we get a trade that moves into some profit, and because it's blue, right? and we're making money, we want to snatch it off the table. That's a psychological thing, right? It's a mindset thing. And so, but if we do that, then our risk to reward ratios get all messed up. And then our what will happen is, right, our curves will look like this, right? That's what our equity curves will look like, okay, over time, just straight, just like one big consolidation, right? So in other words, one big headache. Great job. 627's in the chat for sure. Right? Seven's in the chat for sure. Right? Congratulations. 628 pips. Right? And we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at that, right? We'll look at this UJ, then we'll look at gold. Right? Getting towards the end of the week. Yeah, 21st day of the month. So things are starting to finish out, right? So we're reviewing a lot. So you can see where here we got TP1 on this UJ. Boom. Right. I think that happened on another trade for us too, like the Aussie NZD, something like that. Aussie Swiss, right? Where we hit TP1 and then it bounced. But that's okay because we had our 1 hour play to the long side because it had the deeper correction. Beautiful, right? $480. So that's the UJ. Then we've got gold. Right? Where we hit target. Now we have a new AB boundary. Okay. A, B, C, D. Our C becomes our new A. Our D becomes our new B. And we play the game over and over again. You trade small because your education teaches you how to catch pips. That's gold. Congratulations, Joy. All right. Congratulations to anybody who took that and was able to make some money. All right. So crude. Come on now, that's an 80-20. That's an 80-20. All right. So some of you may be on that to the downside already. You might have been on your charts and you may have caught that. All right, but we've got a reaction out of the zone. It is moving. It is. It's moved since I looked at it earlier. Like, man, right? That's really good. That's really good price action on oil. Look at that. I don't know like of any really any better zone to trade. So that sub 50 extension is coming in right at the 382 on the one. Okay. If you play the pullback, right, you got your pullback on that sub 50. You say, hey, listen, I don't like trading this. I like pullbacks. Well, you got that too. Great work, everybody. Great work. All right, great work. Quick look at the S&P before we close out. Here the market opening. Right? The greed continues. All right. It's just continuing to push, right? It's not stalling. Look at that. At the extension at some point, we'll get a correction at S&P. Ryan, anything before we close out?
One, investors are basically saying at some point they're gonna cut rates. They're gonna keep driving this thing to the upside. Uh, on this BOE decision, the expectation is to hold. What investors are looking for is the vote count. They're looking to see is there full agreement on holding, or are there some members looking for cuts. So that's one of the things to watch when that decision comes out at 8 o'clock. And as we go through the details and then listen to the press conference. So keep your eyes on that as we move through the morning. That's it, bro. Great session, man. Appreciate you.
All right, sounds good. Hey, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. Bye for now.